Okay, welcome to Theater of the Mind, where we shall ask questions to our directors. My name is Josh Fitch. I shall be reading the questions this afternoon. I am also in the Chronicles of Roy, and I play Zucky. And I'm also in Eureka, and I play a little part in that, reading some lines. But let's get down. This is Tony. He is the director for Eureka. Then we have Billy, who is in Roy, who is Roy in the Roy Chronicles.
Also director of the Roy Chronicles.
Director. And then we have Jacob Lawson, the director of his show.
Drifting Beyond.
Are we introducing Darren as well?
Oh, and then we have Darren,
We have a
our
guest
faculty member.
Who got this started.
Yes. Without him, this couldn't be possible.
And Fort Clark.
So thank you, Darren. Okay. First question. What was your favorite part of the script? Billy, we'll start with you.
Oh, right. My favorite part of the script, besides the fact that I also wrote the script, was I think anytime Roy was about to do something that would be frowned upon anybody who has common sense, and watching it, how the actors actually react with first time hearing it and reading it and wondering what is going on. That's mine.
Jacob, what about you?
Well, I think my favorite part of the script was sharing it with all the actors, similar to what Billy did. But we had a narrator in ours, and we do the narration and the acting separately. And I always loved Keenan's reactions because he would read the entire episode week to week, and he's always just, And I always loved seeing his reactions and everyone else's reactions. A lot of people said they really enjoyed the writing in it, so I was really happy sharing that with everyone.
Okay, what about you?
I like the little harp sound that they make every time they're going up and talking to the gods. They make a harp up when they're introducing the gods, when they're going from the mortals to the gods, and a harp down when they're going from the gods to the mortals.
Is that your harp that you have in your basement that you
Yes.
randomly play?
It's cute. It's really fun.
That's classy.
Yeah, sometimes I'll just go down there and, I'll just start playing it. It kind of freaks the guests out.
Oh,
Yeah, I imagine.
Okay. Jacob, we'll start with you. If you could change one thing about the show, what would it be?
I think I would have liked to have had more time to plan out the season. When we started doing it, my show was the one that started all of this as kind of our foundation, so this is where we learned how things work. And I wish we would have had like some filler show before that, because I put a lot of heart and soul into the first season, and it wasn't executed in the best way we could have, I suppose. But that was because we were learning how to do things. It was kind of a symptom of that. So I'm not upset about it or anything, but in terms of the quality of it, it could have been a little bit better.
Tony, what about you? What do you think?
Oh, man. Just time. Again, it's time. There's not enough of it. 24 hours in a day just isn't enough sometimes.
So, if you had more time, raise your hand if you wish that's something you could change about the process. You had more time.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But I would like to add on to that. I would like to actually do my radio show, The Roy Chronicles, how I was supposed to do it. AKA when they told me, like, make it 3 to 5 minutes, not making them, like, 10 to 11 minutes. And listen to more of the rules of it would probably have been a lot better.
Can I ask a question?
Oh,
Why do you say that?
The reason why, and I do understand it, is because on the radio you can only have someone's attention span for so long, definitely since they don't have any visual, they only get one of their senses is being used, which is listening. So 3 to 4 is usually long enough to keep someone's attention before they turn the dial and go listen to some music or go do whatever they need to. And definitely since radio is also only on the car, it's like you're not going to be in the car for that long. But luckily for me, the Roy Chronicles has a kind of atmosphere with it that hopefully it keeps people longer. I don't know. I have no idea if anybody listens to it, so I hope so.
Okay. Tony, we'll start with you. How does writing solo and in a group project differ and work?
How does writing solo?
Yeah, differ than a group project.
Well, actually,
You're not the writer.
yeah, no,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not the writer, but I do direct and edit it. So I do
That's a
a
good
lot of that
question.
stuff.
Just not a question. Well, we both wrote ours. And
Yeah.
I think it's really difficult to write and direct. Mostly the fact that when we were writing our shows, we were crunching on time to put them out because, like, I was writing the episodes almost like a week before they were aired, and I think you might have something similar to that.
I
Right.
didn't really write the seasons like right before they'd go on. I try and write everything a long time beforehand so I can have it planned out and then execute it.
Yeah.
So for me, it was pretty simple. Once it was written, it was just a matter of production.
Yeah. But I would say with the group, it's a lot easier because you have more people motivating you and maybe come up with more ideas than one mind can do.
See, the thing I have issues with that though is too many cooks in the kitchen. At some
True.
point, you're going to start butting heads on what you want the show to be about. People have different ideas. I found it easier just to do it by myself. For the first season, we had 2 writers with it, and it was fine, but we would also kind of have that dichotomy where we wanted different things, and it just didn't work out. So second season, it was a lot more open for me to just do what I wanted.
Yeah.
It took a lot more time, but I had the artistic integrity to do whatever, and that was really nice.
And I also can't say that I've completely been editing the show on my own. Caleb's helped me out quite a bit with that, so I've gotten some help from him too, so I'm not completely alone with my direction and editing of the episodes.
Nice.
Teams are beautiful.
So this question sounds like it's a good follow-up from what you guys have been talking about. How many people are involved in this production?
Each production.
In each production. Jacob, how many people are involved in your production?
Well, right now we put a hiatus on it. I got busy this semester since I'm graduating. I didn't have time to write anything. But last 2 semesters when we were producing, oh geez, it was probably around 15 people apiece.
Oh wow.
It was a lot of folks. Second season we really toned it down. I think we only had about 4 or 5, but first season it had a lot. Casting process took a little while.
Which one did you like better?
I actually think I liked the second one a little bit more because I wasn't stressing out about trying to include people, so I could tell the story I wanted to without having to worry, well, I gotta have a character for this so we can have another person, you know. Since it was the foundational show and we were trying to get this off, you know, I had to figure out ways to get as many people into this as I could, so I was just scrambling around trying to figure out how I can get as many people in the script as I possibly could, and sometimes I would be at the disservice of the script for the story I was trying to tell. I still think I worked to make it still worked out okay, you know, I don't really have any issues with it, but at the same point in time, it was a little bit of a challenge.
Okay. Did you find that your story was more condensed once you didn't have to worry about all those extra characters?
Yes, it was a lot more straightforward.
It was a little, from what Billy said about you have to imagine what was going on, you don't actually see it. The fewer the characters, I thought it made it more focused. It was easier to understand and follow.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
What about the Roy Chronicles? How many people are in that?
Besides me doing every job, the other people are. We have 10 actors. I guess 9, not counting me. But we have, and then we have, for me, I had 3 Foley people I was not involved in that. It was like one of the only jobs I think I didn't actually do was the Foley. So I guess then it should be around 17 people, but we had about, if I do math in my head real fast, 12 people. And I don't think I had much of the problem though with the characters though. With having more people, like I try to write a lot of people in because I think it gives the diversity for the chaotic scenes of the Roy. But like a lot of characters were in it just as a joke, like we're like a one-liner joke or something, and yeah, and all that. But yeah, so I guess 12 people.
12 people. What about for your show?
I think I probably have a cast of 8 or 9 people. I think I have 8 or 9 people doing that. And then editing, there's me and Caleb, and that's about it. I mean, I've had a lot of help from these guys, but they usually aren't doing anything behind the microphone or with the computers or anything like that. They're just kind of giving me
We're cheerleaders.
guidance.
We're kicking you in the right
Yeah,
direction.
They're cheerleaders. It's
Field
great.
goals and all that.
So, yeah, and then with the characters, it's really nice because I think the script for me, there aren't a ton of characters, but the script is very easy to work with because they introduce a character in one episode, and then the character's usually out by the next episode. And then if they have like a reoccurring character, they make sure to use the character's name. They make sure it's line specific to the character, so people on the radio can tune in any time and know, oh, this is who they're talking to, without having to sort of guess at it.
Gotcha.
Darren, you're out of frame.
Can slide in.
Oh, come on in.
Here's our.
That's the voice from the side.
So
God.
besides keeping Darren in frame, what was the hardest to do to start the program? What was hard to start this program?
Oh, that's a me question.
Yeah. Mr. First Show, what was hard to start this program?
I think it was probably the organization of getting all the people to come and, take part in things. For me, a big part of theater is just trying to herd people around, and it's just kind of a drag. You want to get to the fun art stuff, but then you gotta call people well, does this work in your schedule? Well, I have a bar mitzvah. Okay, well, so we'll do it at another time. Okay, it's 12 in the morning. Can we come and do it now? Well, I'm still at that bar mitzvah. Okay, can we do it at 2 then? Fine, yeah, we can do it then. So I really, even just in regular theater, I've never enjoyed that because everyone's so busy. In the college setting, it's all just scattered to the wind. So that was the hardest part for me, and it was also hard trying to figure out what all we needed. Since we had never done this before, we just kind of had to throw darts at the board and hope that's right. And we'd find out through practice, and we did eventually. But it was always just kind of sucky having to go through failures to get to the next thing. I suppose that's how anything in life is, but it's always just a pain though.
Yeah.
I really think one of the toughest things to get it off the ground, though, was finding somebody of interest to take the lead. You and I have talked about this. I actually gave this idea to 2 or 3 other students 2 or 3 years prior to this taking off, and each one of them went, oh yeah, and then it just fell flat. When we had the interest meeting and there were several people, a lot of people, and they said, oh, everybody's going to do it together, and it was when Ford said, well, Jacob works for me, he could sort of be in charge of scheduling, and once he did that and you took charge, then everyone fell in line. So it was really finding that person to sort of do the exact same thing you said you hate doing.
Yeah.
It's just to keep it going.
Yeah.
I know that Billy has kind of been your second here, and he's kind of
Well, he's kind of
taken
taken
that
it.
Role. And eventually he'll pass it on to somebody else, whether it's Tony or somebody else. But I think that's it. It has to be that one person that sees the importance in this and keeps it moving forward. And that was the toughest thing to get it started.
Yeah, because everyone wants, again, to just do the fun art stuff, and
Yes.
that's all they think this is, but then you get down to the nitty gritty and it's work.
Yeah.
And this being a student organization, we never wanted to set it up where everybody come in and do this fun stuff, and then you go away, and then the faculty will do. It was never meant to be that way, and it never was it?
Nope.
You guys did all the heavy lifting. Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. This is a good one. Where do you get your ideas and motivations?
The
we'll
script.
start with you.
They gave me a script. They gave me a script 2 days before auditions, and they're like, "Okay, go." And I was like, "Okay,
Fair
let
enough.
me read this." And then you just kind of interpret it. You kind of look at it, and you're like, "Okay, I think this is what's going to work. This is how the script is written. So if I put it together this way, then people are going to enjoy it."
Billy, you want to chime in on
I
that?
really beat that one. Motivation. I think it's just for. If I didn't have a big mouth and started talking big game, that's how Roy really started. And I think that's the motivation. Is I kept saying, "You know what would be really funny if this happened? You know what? I'm gonna have a thing where Roy goes in a gladiator battle, or we're gonna make a shirt where Roy's name is literally just everywhere and no other purpose."
I like to chime in as a voice actor for the show.
Oh,
Yes, that happens a lot.
Yeah, that's...
He will approach anyone in the hallway and just go, "So here's an idea I dreamt of last night." Helium Planet. I got 20 balloons in the studio. I need you from 3 to 4 if that
Oh my
works.
God.
We're gonna do helium and record. You in? Okay, Billy, let's go. And so, yes, there's a lot of like, he'll dream something and be like, that can be in Roy.
Everybody follow me and skip along with me. We're going to the recording studio.
Yeah, that's really what it is. I think that's the essence of your show.
It really
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's it. I'm done with my answer.
What about you, Jacob?
What motivated me? I think relationships in my own life. I've seen a lot of really dark things happen, and I was like, what if we just take all those terrible things and we throw them into space? I think that's how we boil it down to its core. But
Fair enough.
I'm really glad we got it to take off with your show.
Yeah.
Drifting Beyond could get really dark, and then the second season I was like, let's make this really dark, and we did that. But it's good that we have some sort of brevity with it, that there are still ways we can interpret it into, happier fashions.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Oh gosh.
But it's nice that you've got the different types of shows.
Yeah, there's a
Oh,
There is the
dichotomy.
darker show. There is a more comedic show. There is the Eureka shows are really mini-series like.
Yeah. And it's in the middle too, I would say. From what I've heard so far of Eureka, it's like in between. It's not as dark, but it can be. It has things that are funny, but it's not completely that way. So.
Yeah, it's like it's a crime drama essentially.
Yeah,
it's
pretty much.
It's got funny little moments, but there's also a serious undertone.
So here's a good question. How do you maintain the length of the shows?
The script. They've done really good at that. They've given me scripts that haven't been too long. They haven't been super short. I get a couple of episodes that are a little shorter, but I mean, usually that's not so much of a problem. They always go somewhere. There's development. There's progress. So ultimately, it comes down to keeping it within, like keeping it below the time limit, because it's so easy to just draw out a story as long as you can. But when the writers make the script 4 or 5 pages long, that's easy to work with. You just get them in and record their lines at a relatively brisk pace, and they're usually able to do just fine.
I agree with all that. That's spot on. And when I did a writing class here at UNK, they were like, for scripts, usually a page equals a minute. And so if you have what's under, if you have 5 pages, it should be roughly 5 minutes. But I think whenever you have the problem, it goes over. And I had that problem so much and decided to ignore most of it. But I did cut some, and it was kind of hard to figure out what to cut and what is not really needed. Luckily for my show, a lot of I had to cut jokes. That was sad. Some of them were good. Some were characters I just thought would just be so crazy, but they just weren't. They just didn't make the cut. But you just gotta learn what's important to the story, keep it interesting, and I guess just keep it on point.
Billy took the words out of my mouth. That's all I had to say.
They taste delicious.
Beautiful.
You're welcome.
That's
I made them for you.
And moving on. Okay. What is easier to direct? A tragedy or a comedy?
I haven't directed a comedy, so I can't really say.
Well, how hard was it for you to do yours?
I mean, it wasn't really difficult by any means based on the script. I mean, I think the script's the terms of difficulty isn't going to change on the script for the director, for producing it.
Well, I think more like the voice acting. That's what I would like. For me, comedy is really hard because, one, when you're trying to figure out the voices for it, they have to be. They gotta. There's 2 different ways to go. You go completely serious that it makes it so funny, or you make them so outrageous that people just can't hold a straight face with it. But I think that makes comedy hard. But I imagine.
What about with the timing?
Oh God. Okay. That.
No,
Okay.
I'm serious because
That's true.
with the drama, I'm assuming you read the lines, you read the lines, you read the lines. With a comedy, you read the lines, but if you get the timing wrong, you've lost the joke.
True. And that goes more to the editing part. But then also, it also depends how much time you need to cut off the script. So you might just shotgun everything quickly. But no, definitely, I think it is a little bit trickier for a comedy. But the man who has technically a doofer
Yeah.
Has both of them. What do you think, bud?
Yeah, I think they're both a little different in their delivery style. With comedy, I'm working with some pretty fun people. So, they're just naturally very funny, they're outgoing. But when you get to the serious scenes, they're afraid to let go. So it's sort of difficult to tell them. There's a line between being dramatic and then overdoing it. And it's the same thing with comedy. You can be comedic, but then you can also just completely overdo it. So I've had to go back and record a few lines because I'm like, okay, I lost the enunciation there. So we need a little bit of I don't know. We need to make that slower or less harsh, less loud. And then with the dramatic, you need to say sometimes you're just like there wasn't any feeling in that. You're afraid to just pretend this is actually happening. So I think they both have their different challenges.
Yeah, I'll go off of you too. In the tragedy drama stuff, in regular theater and film, you get the whole facial expressions.
Mhm.
You get everything in the physicality, and you can read a lot from that. But with radio, with audio, you only have the voice.
Mhm.
So I think that's a lot more challenging, I suppose, in terms of conveying emotions other than, humor, other than, joy and happiness, to take it that deep, deep route and just really be morose and sentimental, but only with your voice.
Yeah.
There are a lot of times when I'd really have to stretch my actors and be like, you need to feel this.
Yeah.
This isn't something you can just say into the mic. You gotta believe it. Otherwise, it's just not going to read.
It's especially hard to do scenes when people are crying or something like that
Mhm.
because that's I think the biggest fine line between overacting and not enough. Because sometimes you just can't, you're like, okay, they're not really crying.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, that's ridiculous if they do it too much. So you have to find that happy medium in there. And I think that's one of the hardest emotions for people to convey over a microphone because you can't see their face. You can't see the sadness. So they actually have to physically make sad sounds.
Gotcha.
Also
Interesting. Okay, we have a couple personal questions, and then we will move to the one last question to end this beautiful program. Billy, we'll start with you, and this is a question I'm sure a lot of people listening to your show want to
Okay.
know.
I'm ready.
What is Roy? Go.
Well,
Keep it short, keep it sweet, but what is Roy?
Roy is a wanderer, someone who has been thrown into space and pretty much has no idea how it works and is literally just doing whatever he wants to because he doesn't really care. And by doing this, somehow survives everything that happens. And it's like if you go to a different country, have no idea how it works, and you decide to live your life normally or just like, I think that looks fun, I'm going to go do that. That's pretty much what Roy is.
Sounds fun, sounds about right.
That's the best answer we can get.
Tony,
Yeah.
maybe you can shine a little light on us, not give too much away, but will we be doing any more with the gods in Eureka? Are they going to be playing more parts?
Yeah. Yep, there's a little bit more for them to play. I believe the episode that aired today was Hephaestus, wasn't it?
I believe
Yeah,
so.
that's
All right,
what
so
I
he
heard.
played a little bit in there. And the next episode, we're starting to get closer toward the reveal. So she has to go talk to Hades now.
Okay, so yes, more gods. Good. More god parts. Okay, and then for you, Jacob,
Huh.
where did the title Driftin' Beyond come from?
If I remember right, that's what it was. We were sitting around figuring out what we wanted to do. At the beginning, we were having a concept meeting for some sort of show, and that's where we got the idea for space drama, because you don't really hear those much.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of space comedies or space adventure action things. No dramas,
Right.
especially not on the radio. So we're like, we thought that was the best way to go. We're trying to figure out a name, and you gave out the name that's
Okay. We have a whiteboard in the room, and we were putting pretty much words on the board, and I put 2 words up there, and we just so happened to use out of all the words we all said. So
Mhm.
it was a team effort, and I don't want credit for it.
Okay.
No.
It was a team effort.
Team effort.
Yeah, we were spitballing, and that's what stuck. So
Yeah. That's how it is.
Our final question to tie this whole thing together.
Crushing.
How do you feel about directing a radio show and about the subject? Like the subject matter. How do you feel about directing it? Jacob, we'll start with you.
I mean, as long as I'm honest in what I direct, I'm completely fine with it. And that's why I was happy I was able to direct what I wrote, because I knew everything. There wasn't really any sort of boundaries between myself and myself. I'd write it and then I'd go produce it. And as long as I remained true to what I wrote and to what I believe the show is about, it was easy.
Nice. Billy?
I like directing. And I think it's something different because I've done a lot of acting, and so always taking direction for people and then taking those directions and creating something, which is one character. But with directing, you have so many different teams you work with. Now, I know I didn't use much teams, but I've realized the importance of having a whole team, just like what you have. And I kind of got a little bit of experience with that with my Foley team and trying to direct them and all that. It's a lot of heartache, or like a lot of heartache and headache, really. But more of just learning how to direct somebody, but not do it for them.
And you said this Foley team. What can you elaborate? What is a Foley team?
Yes, Foley team is a group of people that make the sound effects that you hear in. Actually, in a lot of Hollywood movies, that's all they do is footsteps, creaking of a door, all that, creaking of his chair right now, all is done by a Foley. Well, he's an old Foley right now, but that's what a Foley crew is responsible for, everything. And I think they have the hardest job because they have to figure out how to do that. From how do you make a rocket go off? I don't know.
Yeah, we've asked some pretty inane sounds of them.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them every once in a while. Even now, like long after I did the last 2 seasons, I'm like,
You have
I made them
nightmares.
do that. Okay.
You have night terrors and everything, toss and turning.
Yeah.
Are you guys glad you went with the Foley artists as opposed to pulling sound effects off the internet?
Yeah. Every time we'd finish an episode, or at least when I was just glowing because it wasn't anything that I had just solely made. It was the conglomeration of what all these people had put together, and this was the product. Even if it wasn't the most shining thing ever, it was still special to me because we made something that otherwise wouldn't have been made.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's completely ours.
Yeah. They can't take it.
What about you, Tony?
What do I think of directing?
Yes.
It's hard. It's very hard, but it is enjoyable. I think the challenge really comes from you get the actors together, and after reading the script, I had all these characters completely planned out in my head, and I'm like, these are what the characters need to be. And then the voice actors came in, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I kind of like what they're doing. So I think I can play with that. So it's a lot of puzzle work. You have to put stuff together, and you have to figure out what's going to work for the show, what won't work. And then also when I'm reading the script, there have been a few lines that I've had to remove from the script or change a little bit just to make it clear to an audience. I think that's really awesome. That's an awesome opportunity I've had where it's not a script written by me. So it's an outside source giving me a script. So I'm reading their script, and I'm essentially an audience member. So if something isn't clear to me, then I know this needs to be different. That way everyone else can understand it, and I'm not the only one who's like, oh, this totally makes sense. And then someone's like, I didn't get that joke at all. So
Definitely.
that's nice. I have that creative ability to,
Be at a distance.
be at a distance.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
How nice that would have been.
I think you're right. Any director, no matter what you're directing, radio or theater or TV or movie or whatever, has to be in the position of the audience.
Mhm.
I think you hit it right on the nail right on the head, because you're the one that's going to be that reflection of what they're doing.
Yeah, we were the ones who figure out how things are communicated.
Yeah.
Our camera person over there has a quick question.
What up?
Yeah, how did Theater of the Mind actually like come to fruition? Like, whose idea was that? How did you guys set it?
That's a Darren
What
question.
was the process with that?
Well, actually, years and years and years and years ago, I'll tell you how many years ago, it was when I was in college, so it was, a long time ago.
Back when dinosaurs
Uh,
roamed.
Yeah, something like that. And 5 o'clock every day on a local radio station was this little radio show, and I think it was never more than 3 minutes, and it was called The Adventures of Chicken Man, and you can go on the internet, you can find it. It's been playing since the 60s. Armed Forces Radio carried it for a long time, and I can't remember how many seasons. There's like 11 seasons. There's hundreds of episodes, and it's basically 3 voice actors. The guy who wrote it, and a female actress, voice actress, and another guy, and they play all of the characters. And it's this guy. He's a shoe salesman. Excuse me. And on the weekends he has off, so he decides he should do something. He's gonna be a superhero, and he goes and he creates Chicken Man. You can find this. It's a great little series. But I look forward to it every day. And I thought about it a long time, and I talked to Jacob about this a lot, that I always thought this would be a fun thing to do. It's really short. It usually, and it was always a story within itself. It had a real quick introduction. There was a crisis right off the bat. He dealt with it, and it either was concluded or was a disaster, and it just ended. But it was this great little 3-minute story, and it held your attention, and I wanted to hear the next one the next day, and the next one the next day. And I, like I said earlier in this broadcast, that I had talked to several other students, and one in particular thought, "Oh, this is great." He started creating this whole world, but he was creating this whole world, and went on and never wrote anything, and I think lost interest in it, and it kind of died. Once Ben Myers, chair here at the communications department, and Anthony Ford, who's the station manager.
Ford Clark.
Ford Clark.
Yeah.
Sorry. I knew that.
That was a close one.
I knew that. Anyway, I was talking to them one afternoon, and I said, "Oh, I used to listen to this," and I think it was Ben said, "Yeah, I kind of remember that." Anyway, we started talking about it, and I said, "I've been trying to get this off the ground. It's just I'm not sure what to do." He said, "Well, we should have an interest meeting." So I think it was Ben's idea to have an interest meeting, and we made up the posters. And what do we have? About 12 or 14 people there that first
You
day.
bribe them with pizza.
Yeah, we bribed them with pizza.
That's how you get.
And as soon as we told you guys what the idea was, I had very, very little to do with it after that. You guys kind of took it. But I think it was the fact that instead of giving it to one person, it was that group. Again, you kind of took charge of it, but you had support people, and I think that's where it got its drive. One of the things that was really nice is at the end of the first season, you said that first season you learned a lot and stuff, and I remember we had a meeting at the end of that season, and there was a lot of discussion of what went well and what could be better and stuff. The one thing that I think everybody agreed on is that good, bad, or mediocre, that first season was a huge success.
I agree.
You wrote it, you produced it, it was a good product. You might have said, "Oh, we could have done this or that or whatever," but it was a huge success, and that in itself ran you to the second season, which then there was the spin-off, which then got other people interested in writing their own scripts.
That direction.
And we just hope that this continues from that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Actually, on your list, because I printed it off, there's actually, I think, at least one, but if there's a little dash and then a name like the name Ozzy, you should say those ones, because those are questions asked by our fans, actually.
Here it is. I'm sorry, I missed it.
You horrible commentator.
Is Hades gay?
Is Hades gay?
Yeah.
No. No, he is married to Persephone.
Your vibes are wrong. Your vibes are wrong.
I'm sorry.
Shot down.
Shot down. Okay.
Is that the only one, though?
Yes.
Oh, never mind.
So,
Oh, is
in
that-
conclusion,
I made a big deal about it.
yes. In conclusion,
Oh, man.
if you could go back, say what the show you directed, and where they can go and listen to it, because maybe they're seeing this and they're like, oh, I need to go back and listen to all of these. if you could go back, say where and when they can listen to your shows, we'll wrap this up. Jacob, starting with you.
We have the Drifting Beyond Facebook page. It's something of an ancient relic at this point, but the first season is cataloged on it. The second season, portions of it are. They're sitting.
Soon to be all of it, right?
They're sitting in my folder in the communication department.
You're gonna have a website soon.
They'll also go on there. I'm going to get all of them and put them together into a YouTube video. So we'll have everything in season 2 in one nice, neat place. Something else I learned from season 1.
Get
So-
it on DVD.
Drifting Beyond, Facebook. Billy, Chronicles of Roy.
You look up in the night sky, you'll see Roy's episodes.
No.
Where else can we find them?
You can see them also on our website, theroychronicles.webs.com, which will send you to another website because the real one is way too long because it's theroychronicles.wixsite.com/theroychronicles. So just go to webs, it'll send you there. And then we have a Facebook and
I was gonna say, if you look it up on YouTube, too, all the episodes are
Yeah,
there.
That's
well,
right.
Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud.
yeah.
And then Tony?
All right. I believe the website you have to go to is Theater of the Mind Company. I believe there's a company in there, .webs.com. And that is where you'll find the Untold
How do you
Odyssey, the
spell
story of
theater?
Eureka.
How do you-
Theater is TheAtre, not ER.
That's a
RE.
place.
You know, I just love because he says at the end of each episode, I always hear it repetitively, theaterofthemindcompany.webs.com. Theater spelled with an R-E. Thank you.
Theater spelled TheAtre.
And what radio station are you broadcasting on?
91.1
KLPR.
the student station.
That's right.
Listen to it. Listen to these great radio shows. They're pretty fun. They're pretty great. Well, that about wraps it up.
One last thing.
Yes?
Actually, I want to do two things real quick. I know. I'm sorry. As the new president of this young man. Oh, I just love late tap water. It smells funny. One thing, actually, the website he mentioned, theaterofthemindcompany.webs.com, actually has a link to all three of our shows.
Well, look at that.
To your Facebook, to my webpage, and to your thing.
My thing, whatever you call it.
It goes to your face. No, it goes to the YouTube. Yours goes to the YouTube. So, well, that's where they're at. So, which means also has a link to the YouTube, which will have ours on it, and his will be on there once finals are over, and we're all not screaming inside.
I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
If people watching this have or haven't seen the shows and want to see more, or heard them, or they want to tell how much they like them, is there some place they can call into, like the radio station, and say, hey, we love this, we want to hear more of it?
Yes. Or you can always go down to that webpage we just said, theaterofthemindcompany.webs.com. Theater spelled TheAtre. You can go to the comments section and tell us. And we'll even maybe put your comment on the old radio station if you let us. Because we like to make ourselves look better.
We like to include you folks.
Yeah, you can always comment. We all have Facebook pages for our shows, so you always can go on there to message us.
Mm-hmm.
We love to hear the support. Definitely also find out if people actually listen to our shows.
Mm.
Radio's a very lonely audience.
Yeah, we don't get ratings on our station here, so
No.
it's hard for us to tell when people are listening and when people aren't. So it's just kind of cast to the wind.
We just want to know if it's more than just Darren listen to it.
Yeah.
Are you listening to this?
And spread the word.
Spread the word.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The last thing I want to say before we conclude this wonderful panel, the next season, what we're going to do next semester, we have a writing team right now. They're working on a show. They're actually almost done writing it. I don't want to give too much spoils about it. And they haven't told me anything about it. Besides, it's going to probably involve pirates. So that's going to be a series, part of the Untold Odyssey. What do you? Oh, it's the phone.
Big series being.
No, it's
That's
me.
not mine.
Oh, jeez.
Roy is messing with me.
How unprofessional.
This is a good way to end it, Tiny Dancer, but I thought you were gonna do something.
No.
Only on your
I'm
jacket.
just making sure.
Anyway, so next semester we're gonna have more radio shows. The Roy Chronicles will take a break for the semester and then come back in the spring to give me more time to write it. And I think yours is
I'm looking to write the third season to cap things off. We ended on a cliffhanger in season 2.
You horrible person.
I know, I'm the worst.
Why would you do that? Anyways, when you, I think yours will be next semester in the fall, right?
Depending on when you guys produce it. I'd like to make the script and then just give you it in one big bind.
We'll find another Tony Cotters to do it.
I'll be gone. I am graduated. I am out.
Yeah. So we got those two, and we will have a few more shows because we're building 2 more writing teams at the moment, and hopefully through the summer they'll create 1 show. So next semester I'm hoping to get maybe 5 to 6 shows going on. By the end of the semester there'll be 6 shows completed for you guys, brand new, never heard before, because we wrote it by ourselves, the students, UNK. And that's kind of really it.
Awesome.
That's all I got.
Well, thank you for tuning in and watching this. So go listen to Drift and Beyond, The Roy Chronicles, and Eureka. They're great. They're great. They're fantastic. See you next time.
Roll is done. So,
Well, I'm gonna keep snapping until you get an answer.
you know what's funny? That the people that are running this, that are not like the directors, is none other than the voice in Roy's head, who's not on the camera, running the cameras. And then Zucky, the assistant, who's assisting with the director's panel.
Yay!
We're just playing our roles.
Okay.
Roll
That
is
was really great, guys.